I'm aggressive, you're aggressive, we're not going to let one person dominate the other, you know, so that there won't be one person who has a very negative experience and one who just doesn't seem to care and can, you know, it doesn't matter to him what happens to his roommate. Sort of a balance, if you will.
My name is Matt. Is your system mandatory for all incoming students?
Well, yes, in the same way that the current system is. It's just an expanded version of the current system.
So would you be able to roommate with a friend?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. You ask, that's part of the current system too. You just ask the university to match you if you both request the same.
I'm just curious, how did you pick the 25 people you sent the evaluation to or the survey on Facebook?
On Facebook, I mean, I have a Purdue network, and I just chose.
Did you pick people that you knew already had problems?
No, actually, I mean, no, I don't pick everybody. I picked some people that I knew had great roommate experiences. 2 girls that I know, you know, they both love their roommates. I picked a complete mixture of people I know who like their roommates, people who don't, and people who are somewhat satisfied, and even some I don't even know. Like
Just people we had met at Purdue.
Yeah.
See who responded.
Grace.
So our system now has, like, let's say 10 questions.
But it has 5.
Oh, it has
Sorry.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're adding 20 more, but still it's just 25 questions. So I'm wondering how personal, like, how in depth can you get with just 25 questions? That still seems like not as much.
And it's an unfortunate trade-off. I mean, we come to a big school, we have a lot of opportunities, but that's also, it sort of cuts out some of the personal factor. You know, we don't have the time to hand match roommate matchups, but we feel that this will at least be a little bit of an improvement, a step in the right direction over what the current system, which is just completely random.
Hi, John. Can you justify spending the $2,500 versus getting something cheaper? Like you said, $2,300. Couldn't you get something for a smaller price? And then
Well, I mean, this is an industrial grade processor. I mean, we need to process
need the
it.
industrial size processor instead of, like, have you seen the other options that you could take?
Well, I mean, sure, I guess buying another computer and having 2 of them work on the same thing. I mean,
Well, I know for a fact we have tons of processors like the one you mentioned at Purdue.
Yeah.
Almost every
Why
department.
don't you just ask somebody if you can
well,
use
if they'll allow us to take that processor from whatever it's being used for and put it in the computer, but I mean, still, that's one less processor floating around Purdue. I assume that someone needs that at some point, unless we have a secret storage room of computer processors that I don't know about. But in which case, sweet.
We are kind of running out of time, so evaluation committee, if you have other questions, please ask quickly, answer very quickly. Eval committee.
No, I just have some. I'll get back to it. Just
Okay,
try to
floor is open to everyone. Mark?
forget it.
Alright, my name is Mark.
Yeah.
So all the horror stories you guys said about people peeing all over the place and people stepping on toenails, Ross said that in the benefit section that those problems would be fixed with these extra 20 questions. I don't think people in the survey are going to be saying, okay, I pee on people's toes or I cut my toes. How's that going to, how are those problems going to
Well, the idea is, if anything, it'll be matched up with other people who aren't bothered by those problems as much. So it's like, oh, you clip your toenails on the rug, so do I. So in that sense, we'll have sort of
How do they know that you're both, is it going to ask you?
Well, it'll look at, you know, how clean a person is, how aggressive a person is.
Who's
how-
going to say I'm not clear?
I'm not going to say I'm a dirty person.
Well, you'll say how.
How
Yeah.
are you in neat rig or something, like on a scale of 1
Yeah,
to
they-
10 or something, and kind of base it off of that.
And the questions don't have to be obvious, like, do you like to clip your toenails on the rug? They can be more veiled in the same way that a double-blind study is done.
Next question.
Well, there's like another thing, like you guys said, you'd like pair like 2 aggressive people together. Aggressive people like don't give into like other people's opinions. They probably like fight each other.
But we think that's better than, you know, an aggressive person completely dominating a really passive person and allowing them to just, well, okay.
Okay, next. Orange question.
Are you familiar with Xgrid on the Mac?
What?
Are you familiar with Xgrid on the Mac?
Raj, you know I don't use Mac.
Well, let me fill you in. Basically, what it lets you do is you can network up a bunch of Macs together and build your own supercomputer. So I know we have a Mac lab at Purdue. So I mean, given like 20 Mac Pros, I mean those things run at like 2.25 gigahertz.
Oops.
What?
No, go ahead.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if you network up 20 of those,
Okay.
that's a beastly
If
machine.
you'd like to tie up all of our Mac labs for every
You're assuming it's going to take
If you
forever to process them.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't really looked into it, so if that's an option, we could look.
Okay, but honestly though, using the Mac lab every year for the foreseeable future after
Okay,
university
next
is
question.
pretty
We
ridiculous.
get that. Any other questions? Excellent. Thank you, guys. Huge round of applause.